Hey, YouTube. Vamos, amigos! It is Saturday, June 19th. And boy, oh boy, do we have a big slate tomorrow. A Father's Day slate. And I want to take a second to wish all of you fathers out there a happy Father's Day. We don't get enough credit, do we? We really, really don't. But we're going to preview the two-game slate for Sunday, June 20th. Of course, I'm your boy Duke. We are brought to you by EliteFantasy.com. They're the ones that allow us to bring these to you for free all the way through the tournament. We've had one every single day, bar one after the Christian Eriksen incident. We're going to keep them going for the rest of the tourney here. We'll give out some bets. I'll break things down tactically in detail. We've been getting away from that. I want to get back to it. But before we do that, let's take a look at EliteFantasy.com. It's where you can find all the information for daily fantasy sports, basketball, NHL, and the playoffs, MMA. We got a card going on Saturday night. Myself and Adam Martin worked that out. PGA, the guys are crushing it, and a couple other sports as well. Come all the way down here. Projections, optimizer, cheat sheet, podcasts in the chat. And this is awesome. If you look at the projections here as we pull them up, it's going to take a little while. But you come in here, you pull up your options for your players. We have projections over here, which we'll keep a secret for right now. Then you can type in how many lineups you want to make. You can use your projections. You can use ceiling, average. There's a whole bunch of tools you can do here. Create groups. It makes it super easy for you. So if you're not familiar with daily fantasy soccer, make sure you check it out. We do. Sometimes, you're not going to believe this, but sometimes my mouth writes checks, my ass can't cash. And that's exactly what happened today. At halftime, Hungary's up 1-0, and I'm going, there's no way we don't get to 3 goals. Either France goes out and scores 2 goals or more, or they're going to push for this victory, and then Hungary grabs one on the counterattack like they did in the first half. If over 2.5 goals doesn't hit in this Hungary-France game, I'll do the Waffle House Challenge. And for those of you outside the United States who may not know what a Waffle House is, it's a breakfast place. And they're famous for their waffles. They're thin-ish, but kind of on the bigger side. And the Waffle House Challenge is you have to stay in a Waffle House, which is open 24 hours a day, for 24 hours. For every waffle you eat, you get an hour off your time. So Monday, June 21st, I might be doing this show from a Waffle House. Who knows? Because obviously that game finished up 1-1. But we do have our first set of final games from group play. And here's where we stand in Group A. Italy obviously tops the group with their big victories over Switzerland and Turkey. Wales here in second place, qualified with 4 points. Switzerland on 1 point with still a chance to get in. And Turkey with this -5 goal differential, super, super, super outside shot of making it into the knockout stages. So if we come up here, obviously both games kick off at the same time. We don't want to have one team knowing what they need and the other not. I'm sure they'll be talking back and forth and keeping track of the scoreboards, but at least doing it in-game, not getting a game plan based on the other results. So how are we going to see them line up? We'll start with the big matchup, the top 2 teams in the group, Italy and Wales. And by the way, Wales probably has second place locked up. They drew Switzerland. Superior goal differential right now a +2. If they lose, unless Switzerland wins by 3 or more goals, they're not going to get to a positive goal differential. So as long as they lose by 2 or less, they should be right at that 0 mark there and in line to finish second in the group, which should be wild for Wales, especially when people were so hyped on Turkey. But let's look at this game. Obviously, we could see some rotation here. This is ambitious, getting Verratti in. I think maybe he'll come off the bench, play 20, 30 minutes to get some fitness under his belt. But Insigne maybe keeps his place as the captain. Maybe Immobile sits down. Bernardeschi comes in. Could see some rotation back here. Chiellini is not fit for Italy. Over on the Wales side, maybe a relative first team. They could see some rotation, but this is really keep things in front of you, right? Like if we're talking about how Wales is going to set up, it is going to be the 4-2-3-1. I do think they're going to have Allen and Morel sitting deeper there, kind of like they did in their first game against Switzerland. If you remember that game, they did not create a ton, but were pretty hard to break down. Now, if this is Immobile and this is Berardi, it's just going to be an absolute field day again for these guys as long as they can get in space. But Locatelli and Barella were doing a really good job of filling this space, and Jorginho cleaning things up here. Lorenzo getting down this side, Spinazzola over here, and then our 2 center backs there. Now, this is not a bad position for Wales. This is kind of how they were against Switzerland. And then they're hitting Dan James on the counterattack over the top, getting more through here. And it wasn't so much that they were creating breakaways. This was to relieve pressure and then getting possession and then trying to get, maybe within 3 to 4 passes, a ball into the box for the big man to get ahead on. That's how he scored, right? I think it's going to be a similar game plan here. I don't know that Italy goes balls to the wall in this match. What could happen is we have some new guys come in. They want to show that they're worthy of a first-team place. You're not unseating Immobile. You're not unseating Berardi. So good luck. This is a fool's errand here. But maybe if Verratti does get a start, we could see him try to push on. Locatelli surely will want to have a continuation of that awesome 2-goal performance. But I'm tempering the expectations here for Italy. Turkey was unbelievably poor in their match against Italy. And then, of course, Switzerland completely overmatched. And I think tired a little bit. We'll talk about that there in a second. And out of sorts there in the second half of their match against Italy. Let's lower the expectation. I think they've been the best, most consistent team in the tournament thus far, and I do think once they get in this area, they'll be able to work little triangles. But I think it's going to be a lot more possession, less chances, really for both teams. If Italy gets a win, fantastic. 9 points, you're first in the group. If Wales wins, they then top the group. So it's not like they could just go gangbusters up here. It's still going to be defensive solidity back there. So from that standpoint, we could certainly look to the under. I'm going to take a shot on Wales +1. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like with team news. If they keep it close, if they lose by 1, they're in decent shape. A draw or better, obviously we win our bet. This is one option. You can also look towards under 2, under 2.5. Like I said, Italy's in danger of not topping the group if they lose to Wales. Man, Wales really, really struggled in their first game to create. They made Turkey look silly in their last game. I think they're probably somewhere in the middle, but more so towards the Switzerland side. So I think maybe we lean towards the under there. Speaking of the Swiss, how do they match up against Turkey? Now look, Turkey's been horrendous. Horrendous is being nice. And they were getting absolutely sliced up by Wales. And here's how. Okay, so we have, this is Moore, and then this is, we'll call it Ramsey. And then we had a couple of midfielders coming through here. So we have Allen sitting here. What was happening was Moore was occupying Soyuncu or Demiral, who came off the bench. And essentially all that would happen is Ramsey would fill the space behind him. So Moore would move here, he'd come here. And then this run wasn't tracked by Yakushlu, and Ramsey's getting in behind and splitting this crucial gap right here. So if you think about the gaps on the field, right, in theory, we're playing half spaces here. He has here to the sideline, half of this space to Soyuncu, and he has half of this space, half of this space. They were sticking basically to their man and leaving giant gaps where runners were not staying with that place, or that runner. Yakushli wasn't staying with Ramsey. Ramsey's having an absolute field day. And, of course, Bale's back here playing balls in over the top and just making magic happen. It's not going to be the exact same thing with Switzerland, although I do think they could have some similar opportunities. So Switzerland play with 2 up top. For continuity, we'll call this Seferovic and Embolo, and then Shaqiri here in the hole, and then 2 center midfielders behind him. So this is more of an even numbers situation with Shaqiri kind of playing in between the back line and the midfield. He does his best work when he's floating here, and if these fullbacks stay wide, we're looking at, unless Yakushlu drops here, which then creates a giant gap for them to keep possession in this dangerous area, Shaqiri playing off the shoulder of this guy. And if we can get one of these two, let's say Embolo drifts wide a little bit and Soyuncu comes here, perhaps he gets in there. The problem is, Xhaka can do it a little bit. Freuler's not really the guy who's going to play that ball into space. Xhaka perhaps can, but his distribution hasn't been great. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as Wales made it look, but certainly like the Swiss side of this game here. Now, conversely, Yilmaz, 35 years old, came in probably his last competitive tournament here with Turkey, has not scored a goal. In fact, they've been quite poor throughout. Under, I think, gave them a little bit of a spark. Yakushli was not at his best in the last game, and this back four has been a bit disappointing. But how can you not like Switzerland to win this game? But minus 45, that's pretty damn juiced up. Turkey's going to have to push for a goal. There's no way they're leaving this tournament on 0 goals. If they lose, who cares? They're on 0 points already. So I think this could be a really fun, really open game. Switzerland obviously has to push for goals. They got to make up this goal differential, and they have to win. This isn't a situation where they're grinding out, a 1-0 lead. Technically, that could get them through on 4 points, but I just think Turkey's going to give them too many opportunities, and Switzerland will take them. So I'll take an alt line here. We'll go over 3.5 for plus 180 and try to get you guys some money. In and out today, 2 games today, more coming up on Monday. 2 games on Sunday, more coming up on Monday. And we'll be back for another video then. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, please leave a like on the video. And if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Subscribers going up, likes going up. Really appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Adios.